Hello and welcome to tonight's brand breakthroughs. As usual, I am on the move, so I'm just sitting outside Heathrow Airport right now. And yeah, life is a bit crazy, so I've stopped to make sure that I can deliver this live broadcast. So there's three key things that I really want to cover tonight, and the first is really important, and I hear it all the time, and you might well be familiar with this. In that, quite often I see lots of businesses suffering because they've gone to the wrong designer, usually to get their branding created. Now, usually this is a problem based on going to the wrong person to get it. Hi, Laurie. Now that really stems from you don't know what you don't know, right? So what often happens is you have an idea for a business and it's a brilliant idea, and you go to a designer and you say, hey, look, I've got this idea. This is what I'm thinking of calling my business. And they say, brilliant. Okay, it's really exciting. So tell me, what kind of colors do you want, and what sort of typefaces do you like? And are there already any brands that you quite like? Who do you fancy? And they'll get you to come up with some ideas of other, brands that, hi, Eric, that you've seen that you like, and you give them this list, and off they go, and they create these designs for you, and you get them back, and you say, okay, well, out of all of those, I kind of like that one the best. And then it's chosen, and that becomes your identity. Now, what I've found, I've worked with thousands of businesses all over the world, and what I've found is that kind of reactionary, non-challenging, just go for it, thank you, Eric, this kind of reactionary approach, I find is it's very expensive, it's ineffective, it's not productive, it suffocates your business, it keeps you where you are, it stops you from growing, because you now have this identity, and people are, that they're assuming that your entire business is now that brand identity that you've got. And actually, what I found with the thousands of businesses that I've worked all around the world in the last 21 years is that every single business changes, usually beyond recognition, within the first 3 months of trading. So you have this idea, you go out there into the world, you have an idea roughly of what kind of clients you want to work with, and off you go. And then somebody says to you, hey, I've been thinking of doing this. Is it something that you could help me with? And you say, well, yeah, I find that really easy. Yeah, of course I can. And you give them a price and you do it for them. Your business just changed in that moment. And you've probably had this happen to you before. So, just really think back to that time and how that really changed the course of your business. And then something else would happen. You say, well, yeah, I could do that. And yeah, I could do that. And yeah, I could do that. And there are many people that I know that, have been to different courses where they say, hey, say yes and then figure it out, which is brilliant. But what if you were to have figured out and stepped into the future a little bit and have figured out, what kind of things would my business be delivering then that I'm not delivering now? What kind of customers would I be working with then that I'm not working with now? What kind of community would I have built then that I haven't built yet? What kind of life would I want then that I don't have now? How much money is that going to cost me to live that life that I don't have now? And what kind of things would I want to be doing? Where would I want to go? What countries would I want to work in? What people would I want to work with in those countries? If you think about this and you just give it that little bit of thought right at the very beginning, what it does is it stops you from suffocating your business by branding it in the way that is at a purely cosmetic level. And that's actually one of the things, I knew I wanted to be a graphic designer since the age of 8 years old, when my granddad said to me, hey, Sammy, the stuff you're doing, you'd be a brilliant graphic designer. Well, what's one of them then? And he said to me, he told me what it was, and it was really exciting. And not only did he do that, but he then said to me, you could be the best graphic designer in your industry. I had no idea what that meant, but what I did was I committed the next 14 years of my life to becoming the best graphic designer that I certainly knew of in my industry. And I can tell you that having gone on that journey, I very much know the difference between graphic design and branding, because I've come from a graphic design route. I've come from that background. But having got there then, I was just appalled by the incompetence around me. They were just, you know, I'm not saying that every graphic designer is incompetent. I'm not saying that at all. No, I have worked with some very good graphic designers. But a graphic designer designs graphics. A brand designer designs branding. And what you'll find is it's a very, very different skill. A brand designer goes through very, very different qualifications and life skills than a graphic designer does. So what happens when you go to a graphic designer to design your branding is you end up with something at a cosmetic level that looks absolutely brilliant, but it's not going to serve the lifetime of your business because they haven't necessarily stepped into the future. They haven't thought about the brand strategy and branded you as you're going to be rather than the person you are now. And usually that comes down to actually the skills and experience. You know, a graphic designer that is working from their back bedroom at home isn't necessarily the kind of designer that has built a 7-figure brand for themselves and built many 7-figure brands for other people. I'm not saying it's that they haven't done that when they've worked at a big agency, but then when designers work at big agencies, you're surrounded by big teams. You're not solely responsible for creating the design of something. I hear it all the time, you know. Oh, I've worked at Saatchi & Saatchi, and I've worked at these big design agencies. I've worked here, I've worked there, I've worked on accounts for PepsiCo. I've done this, I've done that, and I think that's absolutely brilliant. But I know you will have been surrounded by a team of at least 6 to 12 people that will all have brought other skills to that place. If you were actually creating all of that, and if you'd created that business, and then you'd branded it, and you'd branded that business, you'd have a very different skill set. So just think about, when you are thinking of branding your business, think about who it is that you're getting to brand that business, because, you know, the branding that represents the brand that sits underneath, it's just like, you brand yourself for the future. And graphic designers don't really know that. Thank you, Michael. A branding expert will know that, because they don't design graphics anymore. They've moved on from that, really. And what they're doing is they're eating, living, breathing, sleeping, walking and talking brand. They're at a totally different level. They're looking at very different things. Oh, the light's just gone off. Hello. They're looking for very different things than a graphic designer is. Now, those two skills are very powerful when you get your branding created with a branding expert, and then you go to a graphic designer to design all the graphics that brand will sit on. That's the relationship. You know, like when you go to a company that will create your logo, and they'll create your stationery, and then they'll create your website, they'll do your social media for you, and they'll do all these things. You know, they don't really have one skill, one specialism, one thing that they live, breathe, eat and sleep. And quite often what you find is they then hire in and build a team, but then that team, the skills within the team are being stretched. I can tell you that from experience, because every company that I've worked for have done it. Even my own business that I sold 3 years ago, we did it. You have to stretch the skills within your team, because otherwise they're sat there waiting for something to do while you're out there feeding them with more work. So, you know, just like really think about that when you're getting your branding created. Just go to a branding specialist, and then let a graphic designer handle the graphics. Let a website developer handle the development of the website. Let a website designer handle the design of the website, and really, you know, like build your business that way. So guys, you're gonna have to remind me, what else was I talking about tonight? I did post it. I went off on one with a little bit of a rant there. Actually, the reason for saying this is one of our brand accelerators, Mark, who I'm sure he'll be fine for me to talk about him. We had a conversation today when I was in Canada about 3 weeks ago. Mark called me and we did a coaching session. He's gone off. He's working on a different business model right now to the one that he came through the program for. But it's brilliant because hi Amanda. He's doing different things now. And what he's found is he literally sat in the boardroom talking to this investor that's invested in this new business opportunity. And that, you know, they were talking about what the business could be. They hadn't sussed it yet. And they still haven't. So we're going back like 5 weeks ago. Huh? Within like a few days, this guy came back and he already had designs for the business. Mark sent them across to me, and I looked at them and just went, no, definitely no. Every single one of these is going to suffocate you. Thank you, Richard. You know, what are you going to do about this? And he said, well, I already had that gut feeling. So I'm really glad that you said this to me. I said, okay, so one of those could work, and here's why it could work. Because, and I told him why it could work, but I said, you know, the font is wrong and the colors are wrong, but if you can work on that and you can explore that, you might be able to do something with it. Now, the fact is, you know, he said to me today, Sammy, if it hadn't have been for that advice that you gave me, you know, he said, when I invested in the Brand Accelerator program, I thought that I was just getting a program, but actually to be able to just call you and say, hey, this is what they've given me. What do you think? He said that has just been so valuable for making sure that, you know, he doesn't go renegade and that he just finishes the program and then off he goes. You know, as far as I'm concerned, when someone becomes a brand accelerator, you're in my family for life and I look after my nest. You know, so we had a great conversation today, and the business is starting to go in the right direction now, and he's started to really take control of that. And I said, look, you know, I'm here to make sure that you get things right. You're a champion of first-time success. Whether this is the business that you came to me for or a totally different business, it doesn't matter, because usually when people come to me, they grow a totally different business once I've finished working with them. And it's so much more profitable than the idea that they came to me originally with. So very, very powerful. So do definitely, you know, it's work. A lot of designers, they work at a cosmetic level, and you need to get deeper than that, because people are, you know, they're looking at a deeper level at your business. They don't just look at the logo. They like, what does it feel like? What does it look like? What like, do they trust it? They're making all these psychological decisions in the back of their head, and it's not like they're even consciously saying that to themselves. It's all completely unconscious. So someone remind me what I called this this thing tonight, because I can't remember. There were 3 topics, and I've ranted on one of those things. So what else was I going to talk about? I'll tell you what. It just what I do want to talk about, even if it's not on this list tonight, is just the power of the people that you surround yourself with. Yesterday, not yesterday, the day before, I delivered a brand building boot camp in Heathrow. And I did an activity that you might well have done with me before, where thanks, Mel, where you really think about what it is that that you want in your life, and then you make a list of the people that are in your life and how they're helping you to get to them. And practically every single person in the event were, like, out of a score of 10, 10 being the highest, like, you are surrounded by the most amazing people that are all helping you to get where you go, to 1 being the lowest, like, shit, I need to change the network of the people that are around me. You know, oh, brilliant, thanks, Michael and Richard. You and Mel having a competition. Yeah, like, they were all so low. They were like 1s and 2s, and I would ask you, you know, if you haven't been to a brand building bootcamp for a while, do come back. That's an activity that I've been doing that's been, like, really, really, really powerful. And what it's doing is it's forcing people to actually go out and realise that what you want, and that the person that you were born to be, and the difference that you were put here to make to this earth, to leave it better than when you came here. You know, that you might not necessarily be on the right path, because you might be surrounded by people that love you being on their path. And as soon as you want to go onto your own path, they don't like it, because it takes them out of their comfort zone. Now they've got to look at themselves, and they've got to look at their life and why they're not achieving. So when you start achieving, it makes them uncomfortable, because now you're making them feel like an idiot because they're not doing it, and they might be saying they're doing it and they're not. So you're holding them accountable to a higher thing. So just think about that and make sure that you are surrounding yourself with the people that are on the same bloody path as you. Right, okay, so how to stop wasting money on marketing. That was one of the things that I was going to lead on to from the whole kind of branding expert and graphic designer thing, because yeah, again, you know, just at the workshop on Monday, there are 2 people in there that have spent a lot of money on their branding and their website. They've been spending a lot of money on their marketing, and one of the reasons they're having to spend so much money on their marketing is because the brand is wrong. So please, if your branding is not representative of what you do or who you are, if it's not attracting the kind of customers that you really want to work with, and it's not positioning you in the way that of the highest quality, highest value, you know, in the way that you want to be remembered, the first, last, and lasting impressions, if it's not doing that, then you have to move on. Like, it is better to bin it. It is better to take action by making that decision to stop using it than it is to try and drag it along and limp it along. Because what happens is, it's like your business is like this hot air balloon, and you're puffing and you're puffing and you're putting all your energy into this, and the balloon starts to lift, and all of a sudden this sandbag it's like, you know, it's holding it to the ground. And, you know, what is stopping you from moving forward? You have to let that go. If you don't let it go, you won't grow. So you have to let it go to grow. So there's a lesson for you. And finally, how to avoid brandalism when entering into the world of joint ventures. So now, this isn't to say that, you know, the people that you're particularly thinking of JVing with or joint venturing with, they're the wrong people. They might be the right people. But a lesson that I've learned, certainly over the last week, is we put a couple of little videos out just saying, hey, look, you know, we're going to be at the business show in November, 17th and 18th of November. I'd love you to come along, by the way. We're looking for people to help with the stand and stuff. So if you're up for coming to help us, we're going to be at the Excel in London. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, I put a little video out and I said, hey, look, you know, I've got 20 speaking slots. I think it's 18 actually. I've got 18 speaking slots. I can't possibly do them all on my own over a 2-day period. I'm looking for somebody to either share the stand with me, 50-50, or to come and just, you know, pay to speak in some of the speaking slots, so that, you know, you could be on one stage while I'm on the other, and vice versa. Anyway, I had quite a few people that responded to me, and quite a few of them are in a totally different business to me. So whilst it would be awesome to joint venture with them and to do something together, it's not right for that project. Now, if I had been doing it for the money, then I would have taken any person. I would have taken any person and just said, yeah, there you go, you know, crack on. But you've got to be mindful about the people that are coming. You know, what are their intentions? What are their outcomes in working for you? Is it to build a relationship? Is it to make as much money as they can? Is it to build a list? Is it to do all three? The light's gone off again. Is it to do all three of those things? You know, but just be careful. Just make sure you know what the outcome is, because, you know, a couple of these people, they wanted to sell from stage. They're brand new startup businesses. They're in totally different industry to us. You know, and I'm kind of thinking, wow, you know, like you're about to invest really heavily in this. You've got no sales training at all. You've never, Michael, come over to England and come and have some fun on our stand. You know, you've just got to be really careful, because, you know, if we were doing it for the money, I'd have said, yeah, no problem. You know, pay me X amount of pounds. You can speak. You've got an hour up on stage. Go for your life, with no confidence in that person whatsoever. You know, I'd have made the money, but then that would have massively damaged my brand. And people are going to go away from that event thinking, wow, that's how to build a brand. I thought they were branding experts. Why are they talking about, like, Reiki, whatever was coming? I don't mean to, like, I'm not putting Reiki down by any means, but it's just not related to what I do. All right. So just be very mindful about, if you are going to joint venture with people, then, you know, just be very aware, be mindful about how that has the power to impact positively and negatively on your brand. Like, they might go and do the most amazing job, but people are still going to think, how the hell is that related to branding? So, you know, just like, I know that it's, yeah, you know, like, making money is a brilliant thing, but it's not the be all and end all of everything. And certainly not if it's going to damage your brand at the expense of your brand, because, you know, you can't buy trust. You earn trust. And when you've got trust currency, you know, then, you know, put something out to your network and say, hey, look, I've been working with this person. They're absolutely the best Reiki specialist in the whole wide world. Guys and girls, really recommend that you go and talk to this person. And they'll get some referrals. But, you know, don't be careful about who you're aligning your brand with if you are doing something like that. And there's lots of promotions. We get loads of people all the time say, hey, could you put something out on your social media? Can you just tweet about this? Can you email this out to your list? And it's like, well, yeah, hi, Beiju. Yes, you could send that out to your list, but think of how that could damage your campaign. If you're right in the middle of a campaign, talking about one topic, and then someone says, hey, I want you to send this out, it might seem like one harmless little tweet, but that tweet that's going out that is completely different and unrelated to anything else that you do, it could actually damage the momentum of the campaign that you have. You know, it's like we've got a campaign at the moment that's running for the Brand Building Bootcamp in Calgary. If you know anybody in Calgary who really wants to grow their business, have some fun, meet a load of other awesome business experts who are accelerating at a rate of knots, you know, come along to the Brand Building Bootcamp on the 18th of November. No, is it the 18th? 18th of October. 18th of October in Calgary. It's next week. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We always have a lot of fun at our events, and we keep them deliberately small, so there's usually only about 20 people in the room. I can get around every single person personally. We've got coaches there as well. We do all kinds of stuff while we're there, and you really move forward. It's just brilliant. Even if I do say so myself, honestly, it's just great. And the amount of transformation that happens in the room is just absolutely brilliant. And we always go to the bar afterwards, and we carry on the fun and the momentum. You know, it's like I don't just turn up and speak and walk out when the day is over. We sit in the bar, we percolate, we brainstorm other ideas as well, and quite often that's where a lot of other value comes from doing that. And I really enjoy it. I thrive off of that. You know, and a lot of other people, yeah, fun and great content. Thank you, Mel. So we've got that coming up next week, and you know, we've been pushing. The momentum has been for the Brand Building Bootcamp. Now, I'm also delivering another event called Master Your Message, which I'm delivering in Heathrow for the next 3 days, and then I'm going out on Sunday and I'm delivering the Brand Building Bootcamp out in Calgary, as well as the Master Your Message in Calgary as well next week. But I've just said to the team, don't focus on Master Your Message, because if you start putting things out there about Master Your Message and the Brand Building Bootcamp, then that's going to be really confusing potentially for the people that are following. You know, and they're different price points and things like that, and obviously the difference in the business in terms of where they're at, in terms of, you know, a start-up business would be great for one thing, but, you know, they need to be a little bit further advanced if they're going for Master Your Message, because you want to make sure that you've got a business that you want to master that message of, right? So they're totally different. They're totally different campaigns, and, you know, I'm using myself as an example because obviously I can talk from experience there. You need to think about your business and how you're promoting for other people, and, you know, and how that is affecting your brand, or if it's boosting your brand because you're promoting that event, and then you're going to meet loads of your ideal customers at that event. Then you're going to have been seen and been highly visible and connected to that event of very high quality, and then you're going to go along and the people there are going to be high quality that could be your ideal customers. You just, you know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but just make a decision about what the strategy is for what you're doing, and whether somebody else is going to impact on that positively or negatively. All right, so I just want to leave you on that note. I hope you've had fun. I'm going to have to go. Miles, Greg and I were all having a beer at the pub, you know, thinking about strategies for the future and stuff like that. So I wish you lots and lots of love wherever you are and whatever you're doing. If you can come to the Brand Building Bootcamp next week in Calgary, would love you to be there. If you just go to www.brandbuildingbootcamp.org, you'll find all the details for Calgary. If you go to the .co.uk version, you'll find all of the details for our Brand Building Bootcamps in the UK. I very much hope to see you there, and I'll see you here this time next week, and I'll be calling from Calgary. So take care, lots of love, and I will see you very soon. Mwah!